while since I talked about Cyberverse. If you know me by now, you know that Transformers Cyberverse is my favorite show in the franchise overall. If you would like to hear a more detailed explanation about it, like in the general sense from characters to story to like the finale, I've linked my retrospective in the description below. So there's no single bad episode in this show. All of them are pretty good in terms of like the consistent quality and writing, but they're not all created equally. So how this is gonna go, if you know me by now, you know that my tier names are Yes tier, That's Just Prime tier, Central Magnus Approves tier, Med tier, Bumblebee Stop Lubricating the Man tier, and Unicron tier. For this ranking, like I said, there's no bad episode in the series, so it's just gonna range from Yes tier to Med tier. Yes tier are the episodes that are pretty great with no significant flaws. That's Just Prime tier are the episodes with just one or two minor nitpicks. General Magnus Approves tier, which is the episodes that are good, but they kind of have like a issue in the writing department. And Med tier is just the episodes I won't likely pay my full attention to. I just leave it on in the background. Now that we got that out of the way, let's begin the ranking. Also, spoiler warning, because I will go into everything in depth.
When the fuck did we get to Holland?
I feel genuinely bad for placing the first episode this low, but in terms of like the overall scheme of things, it's kinda Now, don't get me wrong, it sets up all the essential chess pieces such as Bumblebee's and Wemblay's friendship and like the overall backstory as to how we got here, but like, as I mentioned, in terms of the grand scheme of things, like, it's kind of basic, and also, like, you can tell that the animation is not quite polished. It's good, but we'll get there when we get there. And as you notice in the upcoming entries, the Bumblebee radio voice is... how do I put this? We'll get there when we get there.
According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way that a bee should be able to fly.
Other than the dogfight sequence between Bee and Windblade and the Seekers, the fight between Windblade and the Seekers, the cortical psychic patch being set up for season 1, and like the ending flashback, there's nothing really noteworthy about this episode. This is also peak meme fuel.
Starscream to Seekers, report! Did you locate any Autobots?
Bee!
Fuck you!
Bumblebee? That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
There's a goat. The reveal that goats raised Bumblebee during this entire time is pretty cute. I appreciate the 2-hour sex scene between Windblade and Slipstream, though I don't know if it's important to the episode. And speaking of Windblade and Slipstream, their relationship is pretty lesbian, and I appreciate that. It's very important later down the line, so I will save that for one of the upcoming entries. Unfortunately, I cannot avoid the elephant in the room. The way that Bumblebee's voice box is handled in these early episodes is kinda While it does improve later on in the season, by the end, I just feel like you could have had him talk the entire season and nothing would change. Like, it doesn't feel like that important, especially with an episode like Megatron is My Hero, where it shows that it does have impact. Like, it's pretty weird that it amounts to nothing in the end. Anyways, let's move on.
Before time began, there was the Cube.
Okay, what is up with the voice direction in this episode? Like, while the voice acting in this show is pretty great, it is a bit off, and this episode is a clear example of why some people may be alienated by Cyberverse.
Starscream.
By the way, notice how I point out the voice direction, not the voice actors. If I see you shit-talking the voice actors in the comments, I will block you. I am not interested in the 100 debate about how the voice acting in Cyberverse sucks. These are real people, leave them alone. Anyways, hashtag justice for Jake Tillman. Anyways, back to the episode. The battle near the Space Bridge is pretty epic. Windblade kicking Starscream off a cliff is pretty funny, especially when you take into consideration that Seekers fly. Does she know? And Megatron shouting, Optimus Prime! In a voice that's clearly not polished yet. It was pretty funny. Overall, this episode is pretty good, and you start to see the writing starting to improve from this point on.
That's this week's #1 robot fail.
So, hear me out on this theory. This show takes place in 2007, the same year that Transformers Animated and the first Bayverse movie comes out. Thus, exposure to those two shows, it means that humans is desensitized to giant robots coming onto this earth and fighting like a pack of wild raccoons on the Denny's parking lot. Boom! It explains why the humans just accept like the bots just wrecking up shit in their streets. Just this scene is pretty great just because of all the questions it raised and how it's pretty realistic for people to react when there's giant alien robots that arrive on Earth one day. It's just pretty great. Soundwave using his speakers to blast really loud rock music at the Autobots is pretty great. Speaking of music, the soundtrack in this show is pretty great. I will bring it up much later in the future entries. Though, other than those two key moments, there's nothing much going on in this episode. It's just both sides fighting each other as usual. It's fine. Moving on.
Megatron! I'm gonna kick your fucking ass!
Hey yo, what the fuck? Tarn is in Cyberverse? I thought that was a kid's show. What the fuck? I know my purple meow meow shows up in the finale, but this still has me gagged. God, the other one arc fucking sucks so much because it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Megatron, sweetheart, I know you don't have a brain cell, but instead of tackling on the threat of the other one by yourself like an idiot, ask Optimus and the others for help. Jesus, like writing like this frustrates me so much. Like easily preventable conflicts somehow becoming much more complicated because of the idiocy like Megatron. Jesus! Ugh! It's not helped by the next entry on our list.
Megatron! I'm gonna kick!
The fact that a very strong season like season 3 just crash landed near the end is just truly baffling. Just the other one is simply what? Just like the runtime can be really felt in this because like as I mentioned back then, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was caused by idiocy and it ended anticlimactically. I am really glad that the two finale movies exist because, like, if Cyberverse ended right here, it's just... Anyways, I gotta go do my ritual when it comes to rewatching this episode. Y'all better appreciate the things I do. I nearly destroy my vocal cords in this part. Thankfully, we're moving into Sentinel Magnus Approves tiers, aka the episodes that are pretty good but has one or two things holding them back from. That's just Prime tier or even Yes tier. Let's go!
Says it's from Goth Patty. What the fuck is that?
I haven't brought this up before, but one of the greatest strengths of Cyberverse is its animation. It is such a gorgeous show to look at, and these flashbacks are a perfect example of why. The fact that the animation is so experimental in the flashbacks is really such a delight anytime they show up, to the point where I even made like a TikTok compilation of all the flashbacks throughout the series. It is beautiful, just delicious food. Delicioso. Also, holy shit, Starscream started a cult. Good for him, good for him, good for him. He deserves it, especially after what he went through earlier in the season. Just good for him, good for him. Other than the flashback, Starscream opening up a death cult and like a few little moments in the battle, Honestly, I feel like the whole bots versus cons thing becomes a little bit repetitive, especially with like the entire core theme of like overcoming their differences and getting along in the show. So, it's the repetition that brought this down, but it's still an enjoyable episode.
Starscream, you're alive.
What's the matter? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Let's go get the positives out of the way. The animation is really good, especially on the space bridges. I like that it implies that Grimlock dropped the F-bomb. Just let this man swear. I like Prime and Megatron teaming up together. I also really like the entire little puppet thing that Starscream did with his newfound powers. And I also really like that Optimus used his Matrix in order to absolve Starscream of his possession. And yeah, let's go get this out of the way now that we got all the positives. God, this episode pisses me off! As I mentioned in my retrospective, Starscream deserves better. He deserves an apology from Megatron, and Megatron faced no consequences for how he treated Starscream. Just watch.
Oh, Megatron, where would I be without the mighty Lord Megatron? I really should thank you for all the pain, the humiliation, the unrelenting cruelty.
You're welcome.
No, this is the part where you beg for my forgiveness.
Why should I? You are Starscream. You will fail. You always have, and you always will.
I hate you! God, now that I think about it, I should have placed it lower. Please, Grimlock, save us with your F-bomb.
You know what would make me happy? Stomping on your brain module.
This episode convinced me that Cyberverse is a psychological horror drama because, holy moly. Arguably, this is the first instance of the Decepticons being in the center of an episode, which is something that will repeat later with bringing the head of Optimus Prime, but for now, let's go discuss this. So, after being scolded by Megatron for the 100th time, Starscream decided to take the moment and shank the bitch, and honestly, good for him. Considering how frequently Megatron gets away with how he treats Starscream, it's nice seeing him get humbled down a bit. It's nice seeing him get his ass beat by Starscream because he deserves it. I like seeing him suffer. On a quick note, hot damn, this ranking is changing my opinion of Cyberverse Megatron because, woo boy, is he a piece of work. Of course, I had to bring up the elephant in the room, which is the reason why everybody remembers this episode. All I'm gonna say when it comes to this scene is, oh my lord. At least I appreciate this episode for going to a general horror vibe, which is something that is utilized to great effect throughout the series, and also this scene in the episode always cracks me up.
Not crew.
Holy moly, the best character in the entire series, Teletron X, is here! Aw yeah, baby! Of course, I'm joshing a bit on the best character part. That title belongs to Tarn. Sue me! Joshing aside, Teletron X is perhaps one of the greatest characters in the series just for the fact that he's so charmingly goofy and lovable that you just can't help but smile anytime he shows up. True, like, he takes a while to get used to, but once he hits the landing, he really hits the landing, and his chemistry with the main amigos of Season 1 is really intriguing. It's just a shame that he kind of fades out near the end of the show. But for our little Prince of Chaos, his introduction episode is pretty great. I love him. He's such a silly little guy.
Let's go, lesbians, let's go!
Aw, hell yeah, we're finally gonna get some girl-on-girl action between Windblade and Slipstream. Their dynamic is pretty great. Though I do appreciate the 2-hour sex scene between these two. By the way, another sex scene. I don't think it's very important to the overall episode. Overall, this is a pretty great Windblade-centric episode, and like I mentioned, the chemistry between her and Slipstream is pretty great. And also, you do feel genuinely bad for poor Slipstream here. Like, imagine having Shockwave and Starscream as your bosses and putting up with their bullshit for centuries. Just pour one out for her. Also notice as the Storm changing animation models every few seconds, we stand a gender fluid icon.
But Ratchet does not need my help. No one needs my help.
Hey, Cheetor!
This is one of 3 great Cheetor-centric episodes, and it allows us time to get to know him as a person and also see him develop a friendship with Bumblebee is pretty wholesome to watch. I feel so bad for him. Just let my poor Cheeto boy help y'all, damn it. While nothing major happens apart from arguably the ending bit of the episode, it's still a pretty fun episode as we see the shenanigans of the B-boy and the Cheeto boy just vibing together, 5 feet apart because they're not gay. Aw yeah, boys, we got a heist type episode. The dogfight between the bots and cons is just really entertaining, and by the end, the ending twist as to how it ended still has me pretty gooped and gagged. It is that brilliant. I won't spoil it here, you have to watch the episode for yourself. And also, I really like the Star Wars reference when it comes to Red 5's theme. Oh, Red 5, my sweet little prince, you survived the entire series. However, what ultimately holds this episode back is it's kind of odd on how Earth ultimately means nothing in the grand scheme of things. You can have the conflict set on any world and it will literally change nothing. It's pretty odd. The scenes with Optimus proves that the writers were on crack when they wrote them.
No. What are you doing?
I'm distracting you big turd blossom.
This scene is cinema. Martin Scorsese wishes that he wrote a scene this intellectual and this based. This is what he dreams of making every single night. Overall, this is a pretty fun episode. I'm glad that we got to know Shadow Striker more as a person, and there's also more layers to her relationship with Bumblebee, which I will point out in one of the upcoming entries, but it's pretty odd that the show kind of doesn't focus on that. So when it does focus on that, it's pretty neat. The air fight between Windblade and Seekers is pretty neat. Grimlock being Grimlock is always such a delight. And Thundercracker being Thundercracker is always a delight. Just delicious food in this episode. Pour one out for my little man though here. Good God.
Autobots, roll out!
After a season filled with shenanigans and dealing with angry lesbians and an angry Cyclops, our main amigos manages to find our other band of main amigos. The main highlight of the episode is seeing the other Autobots awaken in the Ark. After a season of trial and error, it's pretty satisfying to see our trio managing to discover the rest of the friends, just in time for the Decepticons to come in and wreck shit up. I will say this though, it's pretty odd that after a season of build-up and being the center focus as the antagonist of the arc, it's pretty weird to see Shockwave get this short end of the stick, almost just like the rest of the series, but I will get back to this later. Once again, the runtime is the main problem of the series. But look at Bee hugging Optimus, it's so adorable! Overall, a pretty epic season finale, gamers.
It's a fucking bear! No! Oh shit, it's right there.
Holy shit, they were gonna fucking kill Grimlock, what the fuck? This scene is a sign of things yet to come. Jokes aside, it's pretty neat that this is a callback to how Grimlock usually has fire breath in previous incarnations, so this is a sign of the writers clearly knowing their stuff, and it's a pretty cool attention to detail. And also this scene confirms that Grimlock is God. Overall, this is another fun episode with the main amigos just fighting the Decepticons. The plane being used for this battle is pretty creative, and also Grimlock holding Bumblebee in his tiny robot arms is the most adorable thing in the world.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss, my wire. Baby, my heart's on fire.
While this episode doesn't catch my interest as much as the other episodes in the Quintessence arc, it's still a pretty great episode. Those head thing on the bots is a neat shout out to Alien. I really like how it's explained that Hot Rod survived his ordeal with Drift and also why he's a goth. And we get introduced to one of the best characters in the entire show, Dead End. I also really liked his interaction with Perceptor at the end. And what do you know? Peepaw is back and just as great as ever. We'll talk about Peepaw later. Overall, this is a pretty fun, spoopy episode. Aw, hell yeah, it's Cube, baby! Cube is the greatest thing gifted to humanity. It is so based that I'm part of a group chat named after the Cube Arena. Aw, hell yeah. Who gives a shit about the Dodgers versus the Angels? It's Iacon versus Polyhex, bitches. Team Iacon all the way, baby! This is such a fun episode. I really like how it shows how Bumblebee and Windblade met. I really like Starscream being a mean girl as usual. It's always such a delight to see him just fucking shit up just because he can. And like, this episode is a great example of Cyberverse's greatest strength. Its embracement of random humor. Just outside of that, I don't think there's any other show that has such great comedic timing such as Cyberverse. Well, probably except for animated, but that's another topic for another day.
Sing a song, yes, a travel song.
Hello everybody, this is Editor Val here. I just realized that this episode exists. I deeply apologize for the confusion because I just realized it when I was looking at my script and realized, hey, why is my number 1 isn't number 1? Anyways, let's go do quick thoughts and just pretend this is number 47 or 48 or something. Ugh. So, it's neat seeing Grimlock and Bumblebee being buddies, and it's really neat seeing Optimus be Optimus by letting those crab things have the energy on the end. Though what holds this episode back is the rough animation, which is especially noticed on Bumblebee's mouth here. Anyways, moving on. The true highlight of the episode is just Grimlock straight up taking, like, cracked up Energon and just running around like freaking Sonic. It's such a sight to see. And also, what is up with these robots just taking drugs in these shows? We gotta teach the children to be responsible. Like I said, the best aspect of Cyberverse is just how much it utterly embraces the bonker insanity of the premise. Like, depending on how much crack the writers took in the writing room that day. Barknote's version, cracked out Grimlock is peak. The scene with RC showing selfies with various animals on Earth is very wholesome, and it gives a lot of insight as to what type of person RC is, and I really appreciate that. Also, holy shit, we finally got the Cheeto boy Cheetor in the show. Aw, hell yeah, baby! The pure fact that a Beast Wars character shows up in a mainline Transformers show that is not set in the future is perhaps one of the greatest steps that this series could take. It's really neat of the writers to just bring in a Beast Wars characters when they probably have no need to, but they did it, and I really appreciate that. This episode is very poggers for that, gamers.
To answer that, we need to talk about parallel universes.
Holy fucking shit! Transformers acknowledging that parallel universes exist? What the fuck? Like, this is freaking bonkers. The fact that Transformers is acknowledging the possibility of alternate realities in a mainstream Transformers show since, like, I don't know, animated or Beast Wars is just, like I said, freaking bonkers. Just for acknowledging alternate realities in, like, the multiverse is just what makes this episode, like, pretty epic in my opinion. So, as a season finale, it's kind of underwhelming, especially compared to what's upcoming. And also, like, the pure fact that this would have been our multiverse of madness just makes me so sad. Like, we could have literally crossed over with, like, G1, Beast Wars, Animated, Transformers Prime, like, we could have had it all. Just the pure fact that we could have gotten, like, so many Optimus Primes in this scene alone just makes me so mad that John Hasbro didn't give this show a proper budget. Just, why? Just the pure fact that this is what we could have gotten in this episode, along with the fact that compared to the other season finales, like this is kind of like a filler episode in a way, is what prevents this episode from reaching like That's Just Prime or Yes. Other than those complaints, this is a really fun episode just for the multiverse aspect alone. It's really nice to see our main amigos interact with the other versions of the main amigos, and like the existential horror of Unspace will come back in a spectacular way later down in season 3. So like overall, this episode is pretty epic as well, gamers.
I don't feel so good.
The tonal whiplashes in Cyberverse is just so funny, like the way that it went from like B, Hot Rod, and Blur just chilling on Velocitron to just, holy fucking shit, is this the zombie apocalypse? What the fuck? Honestly, the children should be traumatized more in Transformers shows. I really appreciate that. Scar the children for life, Cyberverse. This episode is pretty fun just for the dynamics between B, Hot Rod, and Blur, who are bros 5 feet apart because they're not gay, and also Hot Rod is really great. And I'm not saying that just because I'm buddies with his voice actor. Leave me alone. Speaking of voice actors, you really gotta appreciate the 3 voice actors here for managing to bring to life the chemistry and like the bro dynamics between the 3 main amigos in spite of the 10-minute runtime of each episode. You really gotta appreciate that. Like, they really gotta make it wholesome, and I really appreciate that. I know that I say I appreciate a lot like throughout this episode, but this is Cyberverse. It's so wholesome. Anyways, this is a pretty neat episode with a surprisingly spoopy ending, and I just wish that they could have brought back Blur at some point in the series. I mean, unless we see a dead body, nobody really dies in Cyberverse, right? Right?
Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind?
Oh, would you look at that? Megatron making more stupid decisions in an episode. We just love that. And also, what is up with dead end shift and characterization? What the fuck? Once again, the 10-minute runtime strikes again because, like, even after we're watching this show multiple times, like, those 2 issues in this episode is what prevents it from reaching That's Just Prime or Yes. It's just so frustrating to watch. Anyways, enough bitching. This episode is really fun to see because, like, of everyone working together to overthrow the contestants, and also seeing Hot Rod and Soundwave being gay is the best thing in the world. Aw, hell yeah. Surprisingly, there's a lot of gay sex scenes in this episode, though I'm not sure if it's really important. Anyways, fam, lesbians! You really gotta appreciate like the character development in this show. The way that it's so consistent and like continues even after like everything is technically over at the end of the arc. It's just that the writing in the show is just delicioso. And also, what's up with the Spanish dub having the 1080 quality that the English version doesn't have? What the fuck?
My wife and the flying saucers.
My husband and his indestructible head.
Okay, stay with me on this one. A parade being used as some sort of like WandaVision-esque thing in order to feed something that will be important later down the line. Why did I say it as Rhine? It should be line. Blech. So, on paper, that sounds like a very silly idea, but somehow, someway, the Cyberverse writing team manages to make it one of the most creepiest concepts in a Transformers show. Just holy fuck. Somehow they did it, and it is pretty epic knowing the full context later down the line. And also, World just fucking dies. Just, oh my god, pour one out for him. Anyways, this is a crazy ass episode in the best ways possible. God, this episode tested my patience. I hate how Megatron left B, Optimus, and Wheeljack to essentially die in the Quintessence Fortress. After, that entire whole ass intro at the beginning of the episode where he shares a moment with Optimus, he still remains a dickwad after that? Huh? Also, I really don't like how Dead End suddenly went out of character and just straight up dipped with Megatron into another universe. Huh? Just the sudden shift in characterization make it seem like after all that character development in the previous episodes, I guess he said fuck you to his friends one day and convinced Megatron to use the dimension portal to leave. It's just so out of character for him, and like, he literally got no consequences for his selfishness here. Like, what the fuck, dude? I thought they were your friends, and you're gonna leave them to die like that? Just, what the hell, dead end? I would honestly say that the saving graces in this episode is like the entire crew working together and taking down the Quintessence like another time, and like the reveal of Starscream as the new judge is just one huge like, oh my god, he really did it moment. Like, good for him, he deserves the best, especially after like all the messed up shit that Megatron put him through. Just good for him. Anyways, moving on.
Now, why would you invite a priest?
Oh my god! So Windblade got possessed by a demon, and the main amigos have to go to a mysterious planet in order to save her. The best aspect of this episode is just the general mystery behind this seemingly normal town in
the middle of nowhere.
Eventually, it reveals that this entire town is in fact a Titan. Wowzer! It's been a while since we had a Titan in a Transformers show. Just the way that Croatan did the whole
stay back
thing that legitimately creeped me out a bit, to the gorgeous animation used in the Croatan flashback sequences, to the wholesome ending where Croatan let our main amigos go and vibe somewhere else with Starscream. My only real problem is how Starscream's subplot is a bit thrown under the bus in favor of the haha Starscream is an evil gremlin LMAO shtick that this show seems fond of. Give my boy actual therapy, damn it. Anyways, neat episode with a good mystery and great world building. So, for the Battle of Cybertron episodes, I consider them all the same quality and writing as pretty good. However, compared to the other specials, they're kind of okay. For this reason, they have their own mini-rank as a way to slowly transition into the That's Just Prime tier. Anyways, let's go get into the specifics. Let's get this over with. The Drift plot twist fucking sucks. There's a reason why I never brought it up in the retrospective, because God, this sucks so much! It's what makes this the bottom episode of the ranking. Just, I hate it! The only saving graces are Optimus showing layers, and the subplot with Windblade and Teletran X. Other than those two elements, I hate this episode. Prowl just fucking dies. Oh my god. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be a serious moment, but this is the funniest shit I ever seen. Just his tits didn't save him in time. Oh my god. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I'm going to hell for this. Anyways, the plot twist that it was all a bamboozled ploy to trick the Decepticons into thinking the Autobots die a horrible death is pretty neat. I also like Teletran X's little boink here in this moment. It's just fantastic. Just look at him and go boop. Nice layers to Shadow Striker's character. Prowl dies again. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll move on. I'm sorry. Moving on. This is a really epic Perceptor and Chromia Center episode that is really held up high in second place thanks to their chemistry and introducing the blind king that is Perceptor. Very epic lad, gamers. I also really enjoy the conversation among the crew near the end of the episode. Like, while it doesn't offer a lot compared to like the other episodes, I really enjoy it thanks to Perceptor and Chromia. Bludgeon dies! Hallelujah! Get fucked! This is the best episode in the entire bunch, just for being delicious food. From Wheeljack helping Windblade get rid of that menace to society, to Cheetor's utterly gut-wrenching sacrifice that never fails to tear me up, to just the ending where it shows that maybe there's a chance for both sides to come together as one. It makes for a clever foreshadowing, as well as being the starting point of things switching up for one hell of a ride with a certain race of evil Squidwards. Anyways, we got all the mid-tier and the good-tier episodes out of the way. Now let's get on to the really good stuff. Let's go!
Long Arm. I don't know, man. You've been seeming sus lately. Almost like we have an imposter among us.
You think there's a spy bot among us?
Y'all, we were doing so good with Shockwave being the main villain of a Transformers show, and this episode proves why. This is a great episode for Shockwave tricking Bumblebee into thinking he was a Decepticon spy, the fake Optimus being also a spy that I swear is a product of a fan fiction written by Megatron somewhere, and the Among Us reference is very epic. Delicious Shockwave Center episode that shows why our boy needs to be the main villain of a Transformers show one day, gamers.
Baloney! Baloney, sir!
Like, goddamn, this interpretation of the quintessent judge in this show is delicious food. Just the way the faces all speak and their designs and how they're pretty much unhinged and ruthless. Just, this some good creepy shit. Personal opinion, this face is the creepiest. I also really like the nod to the running Transformers gag of how Cliffjumper and Bumblebee resemble each other, and the side mission in trying to rescue Windblade from the prey pollution is also pretty fun. Overall, a great episode that introduces a great villain of the arc. Also, this scene is comedy gold.
Where's Perceptor?
He's coming! Oh! I'll get him!
Where's my dad? I'm all alone.
The best part of this episode is seeing Hot Rod deal with his self-doubts and being a leader in a desperate time as he attempts to bring Optimus into the real world. It's definitely a relatable feeling that anyone can feel from time to time, and Travis Arts does an amazing job in delivering emotional vulnerability in Hot Rod here. Like, it gets even better in hindsight because of like how Hot Rod manages to overcome his insecurities and become the leader like he was hinted towards be back in like the opening season 3 episodes. Like, if this series ever gets a sequel, like, he'll be an amazing Rodimus Prime. Hey, my girl Clobber is an Autobot now. Good for her. She deserves the very best in life. While Bumblebee's side quest in rescuing Windblade is nice, along with the delicious character development for Shadow Striker, the real star of this episode is Optimus and his burnout as he tries to repair like parts of the city with the others. I find it very compelling in seeing him trying to figure things out now that the war is over, and he tries to be there for everybody until he has to take a minute to just breathe. It's an interesting layer to his character, which also makes him very relatable to the audience. Like, for this alone, this is why this is a just prime tier episode.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
Aw, hell yeah, we got one of the best one-off characters in the show, Thunderhowl. He is the main star of this episode. From his voice acting to his polite nine mannerisms to the gorgeous art style used in his backstory, he is the El Woo Woo for a reason, lads. Similar to Ghost Town, I also really love the mystery of Crystal City as Bumblebee and Chromia finds one of Windblade's shards there. Just the use of mirrored doppelgangers sounds like a silly idea on paper, but it's legitimately one of the creepiest concepts in the series, and keep in mind, this is after the Quintessence arc. This is a great spoopy episode that has El Woo Woo. Nice!
Chargar Gothicon should not be silenced, and here's a song to tell you why. Chargar Gothicon, the beast that hath no name.
Well, what do you know? Another excellent spoopy episode that manages to outcreep the Quintessence arc in the previous entry. Nice! One of the best aspects of Cyberverse is how Cybertron feels so alive. Like, it looks like it's an actual living planet that could exist in real life. The Argon Sea is a very creative interpretation of what a Cybertronian ocean would look like, and the animation makes it look straight out of a painting. Plus, it has the added bonus of an intimidating antagonist in the form of the Dweller, and another great one-off character in Hammer Strike. I also really like the scenes with Optimus and McAdam inside of the Matrix. Not only did we get a cute Optimus smile, but it's also nice to spend one more time with everyone's favorite bartender Peepaw. It's just too bad that the 2 episodes after this one are just...
Magnus, hide!
Aw, hell yeah. Comrade Grimlock is in the house, baby. Fuck yeah. Fight the system. Eat the rich. Fuck the police. Comrade Grimlock is one badass motherfucker that shows why socialism is based. Fuck yeah. While not as lore heavy as the other filler episodes, it's a neat episode that manages to get across the point of why we need to destroy capitalism without, like, sugarcoating it, and Comrade Grimlock is what makes Cyberverse Grimlock the best Grimlock in Transformers. Sue me!
Sorry, you must have me confused with some other Harrier jet.
Similar to the Battle for Cybertron episodes, I also comprise the mini ranking of these episodes since they have the same quality in my opinion. Only differences is that these are really good instead of just okay. And also, quick little rant, what the hell is up with the quality of these episodes in the English version? I swear, YouTube be wildin'. This episode is the weakest out of the batch in my opinion because of the second half. Like, I find Megatron's sudden shift in character to be very jarring, especially since back in The Judge, he left the universe just to be a dick. Like, what happened? I know that it's explained in the season finale later on, but this is just weird. Once again, the 10-minute runtime is the enemy of Cyberverse. The Titans fighting is so awesome! The subplot with B, Prime, and Wheeljack trying to escape the stair dimension is black comedy gold. The breakout is epic. I appreciate the 2-hour sex scene between Hot Rod and Soundwave, and McAdam's sacrifice is one of the most gut-wrenching moments in the entire series. Like, what are you waiting for, people? Why you didn't listen to Prime's get out of the way, Hot Rod? Just, why? Rest in peace in heaven, King. It's interesting to see how Starscream found his way to the Quintessence. I appreciate the first 2-hour sex scene between Hot Rod and Soundwave, and I like how this established Cyberverse Starscream as like one of the most evilest Starscreams in Transformers so far. Though to this day, I'm still confused by the framing device for these episodes. Like, who is Coop speaking to? The new generation of Cybertronians in the future? The current cast? The audience? Like, a black void? Like, what is he speaking to? Who is he speaking to? Like, I want answers, John Hasbro. I want answers. Just, what? I consider this the best episode out of the bunch because of it focusing on Windblade and McAdam here. Like, it's been a while since we gotten like a Windblade Center episode, and it's really neat to see her and McAdam interact. Like, I really adore how McAdam sees her as like a granddaughter, and them waking up by Iconis is very epic. Like, delicious food, delicious food.
My new brothers are gonna teach me a move called Happy Tapioca. I don't know what it is, but apparently I'll be blindfolded and submerged in pudding.
The chemistry between Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Cheetor is the best part of the episode. You can definitely buy that they enjoy each other's presence, and the voice acting really helps sell this relationship that is crucial to the show. The animation and the solar surfing scenes are also really gorgeous, and Cheetor getting the hang of things is just wholesome. Like, he's like a little brother to them, you know? Little cute Cheeto boy. I also really like how the three just accidentally stumble into a fucking gang war, and like how Cheeto helps resolve the conflict by using the Allspark in order to repair like the gang's broken homeworld. Sometimes the best episodes are seeing the main amigos just vibe with each other. This is a fantastic episode that introduces one of the most badass motherfuckers in Cyberverse, Comrade Grimlock. Him being a happy dino when Teletronics plays the lullaby music is so adorable. His little crown is a cute detail that also serves as a fun callback to McAdams, and the reveal that he founded a civilization of dinosaurs is so funny when you think about it, but so fucking awesome at the same time, like considering his circumstances in that environment. Once again, Grimlock continues to be based.
Sussy bucka!
This episode is in That's Just Prime tier because of the gay tension between Hot Rod and Soundwave. I really like how Soundwave is challenging his beliefs about the conflict as a whole, and how Hot Rod is able to enact character development by straight up sucker punching him in the face. Though the only part I don't like is how Clobber got the short end of the stick by being manipulated by Soundwave into trying to end Hot Rod's life, and how Soundwave never really got called out for this afterwards. Just that's pretty weird. Other than that nitpick, it's a great start to the tragic love story that is Sound Rod.
Sure hope you've got the touch.
Hot damn, we got a full-on party here. Though I'm not sure if it's important to the overall episode. Seeing everyone put aside their differences and learn how to get along is not only a great payoff to the Season 2 episode Parley, but it's just a wholesome twist on the Autobot-Decepticon dynamic in Transformers. The only thing that held this otherwise great episode back from yes tier is that John Hasbro should have used their money to buy the rights to the touch in this scene. Just, come on! He missed out on a potential epic reference. Just, we can't have nice things in life sometimes, don't we?
First, what is Shockwave's boob anyway?
One main issue that I didn't mention back in my Cyberverse retrospective is how Shockwave was kind of pushed to the side after having build up as a main antagonist back in Season 1. Like, there were hints of him realizing that Megatron is just not good at his job, and like, he was probably thinking of the possibility of a coup in order to fix Megatron's mistakes and finally end the war. Just, it's so weird that after all this sprinkling of character focus and foreshadowing, just, it kind of goes nowhere. Just, it's very weird. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get on to the good stuff. Shockwave and Wheeljack's very divorced science husbands dynamic. I absolutely adore the chemistry between these two, as well as the hints to Shockwave still caring about Wheeljack through how he confided in Jackaboy about his frustration with Megatron's leadership. I also really like how Soundwave and Shadowstriker just straight up bullies him. Just pour one out for my poor guy. He was just trying to do his job. I feel so bad for him. Just what a lovable loser. He's just missing his husband, Tails. He's just missing his husband. Poor guy.
Aren't these trees beautiful? They're the oldest known living beings in this park.
Oopsie!
I was wrong.
I appreciate how this episode fleshes out McAdams' backstory, as well as being the payoff and being the reason why his no fighting rule is a thing at his bar. The mystery of the base underneath the bar is very fun. Perceptor continues to be one of the unsung heroes of the show, and once again, the flashbacks in this series are very beautiful and creative. I really like to interpret the various art styles of these flashbacks as being from different periods of Cybertron throughout history. I would love to see a Cyberverse reanimated using these visual styles throughout. Overall, another great McAdam focused episode that added layers to everyone's favorite bartender, Peepaw.
What? Do I hear a Fuzor in need of voice box repair?
This episode shows that Cyberverse is a master of horror through the intense atmosphere inside of the Quintessence Fortress and our titular antagonist. Just the way this guy manages to be one of the most creepiest characters in Transformers is a testament of how well this show develops its villains. From his design to his obsession with collecting sound waves from different dimensions to his Boris Karloff-like voice, just delicious horror movie villain material. His motivations and indifference to his horrific actions is the scariest part of his character, which I will explain in this year's Halloween video. Keep an eye out for that, gamers.
Two bros chilling in the hot tub, 5 feet apart 'cause they're not gay.
Jetfire and Skybite are the absolute best part of this episode. Just they have to be seen to be believed. Their intense gay rivalry, the voice acting, and their fight scenes are incredible. I love how everyone is just fed up with their constant desire to fight. Even Megatron is fed up with their shenanigans. I also really like how Jetfire faces a dilemma in continuing his ongoing thing with Skybite through his interactions with Starscream and rescuing Optimus in the lava pit after realizing that fighting Skybite would make him no better than Megatron. However, the only issue I have with this episode is how Jetfire and Starscream apparently knew each other just like G1, but it's given little to no focus. I know you're all probably tired of me pointing out the 10-minute runtime, but I don't care. It will continue to be the bane of my existence. Anyways, great episode for the gay rival chemistry. Moving on.
I'm back in the fucking building again! Oh my god!
As I mentioned back in my retrospective video, Shadow Striker is one of the most intriguing characters in Cyberverse, and this episode is a great starting point of her story. This episode explores how she got her current design and what her relationship with Bumblebee is like. The circumstances of her Frankenstein design is not only legitimately creepy due to how Shockwave reassembled her together, but also genuinely heartbreaking due to how her trauma stems from essentially being made out of fucking dead bodies. Even when he has every reason to leave her behind again, Bumblebee still decides to rescue her as atonement for what happened to her. Although it ended badly, her going back to base instead of going after B lays down the seeds of her character arc for the rest of the series. It could have gotten the easy way out and make her simply a hot-headed rival for Bumblebee, but it thankfully showcases her as a tragic yet excellent interpretation of an underrated character in the franchise.
Sweetie, I need your help in the kitchen! Sweetie, I gave up the straight leg so I wouldn't have to hear that shit anymore!
The fact that this is couples therapy for both Optimus and Megatron is just great. I adore their bickering back and forth while trying to convince Cheetor into giving the Allspark to one of them. And there's straight up confusion during the "Do you know me about" quiz. Especially the part where Megatron is straight up offended that Optimus didn't remember a specific match from the past. It's just so great. Bitter exes are the best dynamic in Transformers. Though the Allspark armor gimmick is kind of there and it's basically non-existent after this episode. This is definitely where John Hasbro wants this show to be more toyetic, and considering this show's otherwise strong aversion to toyetic plot devices, that says a lot about the executive meddling. Anyways, good Mega P episode, moving on.
One time, she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
Holy fucking shit, I thought Cyberverse was a kid's show, the fuck? The way this show does not sugarcoat the darker aspects of the premise of Transformers is just an unexpected yet welcome sign that the series aimed to be different from other Transformers shows. Just the way Megatron slowly turns from an underdog aiming for genuine social change to being driven mad by a desire to rise above his station is given the gravity and seriousness it needed. His relationship with Optimus breaking down in this one intense flashback here is just heartbreaking, as well as disturbing, especially with how it reveals what could have happened later in the series. Finally, it all leads up to one of the darkest moments in Transformers history, in my opinion. Just what a fantastic yet brutal episode.
My legs! I was looking for an excuse to get out of jury duty!
Although not to the same emotional depth as The Perfect Decepticon, this is still a fun time with Carmine Grimlock as he figure out fatherhood when things go wrong here. I love how we got back to his relationship with RC after mostly being out of focus last season. His relationship with the other Dinobots is funny and wholesome, and the combiner Volcanicus is very epic. The mercenaries are very interesting villains with plenty of funny moments, as well as being legitimately great threats at times. Eventually, it all culminates in the greatest character of the entire series, Trypticon. Just the reveal of him being like a retail store manager is the funniest shit I've ever seen. Just everything in this episode is great because of like how much it embraces the utter insanity of Cyberverse. Overall, it serves as a great appetizer as we wait for the delicious main course afterwards.
Hey guys, look what I found.
We're busy.
It's the spoopy atmosphere, the tense moments with a surprising amount of gory imagery, and Starscream's madness that all makes for a fantastic episode. There are several moments where I legitimately gasp in shock because how did that get past the censors? And I really didn't know if our main amigos would have made it out alive this time. Plus, with the return of the Scraplets, this episode puts most horror movies to shame. I also really like how Cheetor saved the day by using his connection to the Allspark in order to stop Starscream, and the ending bit where Megatron was a tsundere in expressing like his thanks to the main amigos and saving him and his crew is just delicious Mega P feel. This is a perfect episode to end That's Just Prime tier on. Alrighty lads, the moment you've all been waiting for. We have finally reached the yes tier, the episodes that embody the best qualities of Cyberverse and the ones that always put me in a great mood anytime I rewatch them. Let's go lads!
I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it, be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
To kick things off, let's go start with shipping the episode. After Starscream was revealed to have the Allspark, the bots and cons tried to get along for a couple of hours while attempting to form a peace treaty. I really like how it offers a more realistic perspective on the premise of the franchise through how cordial both sides are with each other once they finally have a moment to talk. I especially love the interactions between Optimus and Megatron in this episode, as you can tell that there was something between them, and even after everything, they still clearly care about each other. After all, how does it, explain the many peace treaty meetings that they have over the years, presumably? Not only that, but it also offers a lot of insight into Optimus's character as he still hangs on to the hope of Megatron turning over a new leaf, thanks to advice from Peepaw McAdam. There's also the interactions between the other characters, such as Shockwave and Wheeljack and Shadowstriker and Prowl, that are just so adorable. I just hope that nothing can go wrong. Oh no, it all went wrong! God damn you, Bludgeon!
Allow me to handle this. It's Knockout's fault! Precisely my what?
This part of the episode is cinema. Anyways, we finally got a Decepticon focus episode, and it's funny as shit. After all, we rarely ever get Decepticon focus episodes throughout the franchise. It's really nice to see the cons just vibing as they all scheme on horribly assassinating Optimus. The rivalry between Shockwave and Soundwave is another glorious gay rivalry. Clobber and Lockdown being dragged into this whole fiasco is so funny because you just feel so bad for them. And Hot Rod also getting dragged into it resulted in some of the funniest moments in the entire series. Just keep in mind, this is the second funniest episode next to one of the upcoming entries. We'll get there when we get there. This episode's greatest strength is its comedic timing, which is especially helped by the writing and the performances of the voice actors. It's essentially the younger sibling to the TFP episode Thirst, and with how I consider that episode to be the best episode of Prime overall, that is a huge compliment to Cyberverse's comedy.
I wanna take you to a gay bar, gay bar, gay bar.
Fuck yeah, we got to the gay bar episode, lads. Aw, hell yeah, baby. I love the vibes of this episode, with how it established the relationship between the bots and the cons before the war, and giving us the goat McAdam. McAdam, my beautiful peepaw. McAdam is easily one of the best characters in the show, mainly because of just how so damn lovable and chill he is. Just look at my peepaw, look at him go. He serves as a great mentor figure towards our main amigos, as well as providing some of the best badass moments in the entire series. One of said badass moments is literally telling Megatron to fuck off with his alt mode. Just when did a character like McAdam scare a character like Megatron of all people? Just it is so great. Anyways, McAdam is based.
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken.
This is one of two great Grimlock and RC Center episodes. Just the relationship in general is such a delight to watch, which is also aided by the chemistry between their voice actors, Jamie Lanchick and Ryan Andis. Just the way these two ended up getting themselves into like so much like chaos outside of the ship, while also trying to save the ship, resulted in great comedic moments throughout, especially the part where they legit had a fight over which one of them die in order to power up the ship. They really only share one brain cell when they're by themselves. It's so great. And also the scene where Teletronics explain how he survived the whole ordeal outside is also pretty funny. Just pour one out for my little dude.
Alien Hunt with Mediafire
and Cosmos. For me, this is the best one-off character episode because of one man, Meteor Fire. His motivation in trying to rescue Cosmos is so wholesome. He has a likable personality that also makes him slightly unhinged. His chemistry with B is funny and wholesome at the same time. And the fact that he is based on Steve frickin' Irwin is such a cute and hilarious shout out. Just, he never fails to make me smile in this episode. Just, what a lad. It's impossible to hate him in Cosmos. Speaking of Cosmos, I love that they made Cosmos into a girl. Additionally, this is also an episode that creeped me out a lot, mainly because of the setting, the antagonist of the episode that kidnapped Cosmos, and one scene that is literally straight out of the Blair Witch Project. For that, I appreciate the ballsiness of the crew. I think more children should be traumatized by Transformers shows. It builds character.
You're a persistent little Autobot. My name is Optimus Prime!
Although we see it through Beast's perspective, this episode helps cement Optimus as a character for me. As I mentioned back in my retrospective video, Matrix of Leadership is fantastic for giving depth to his character through explaining his backstory and his regret over sending the Allspark away near the end. To me, he felt like a real person. Like, we haven't really had an Optimus that openly expresses his vulnerability since, like, well, animated. I explain more in the video down in the description, but in a nutshell, it managed to destroy the tiring trend of Optimus being a pretty brick without a personality in the 2010s. Prime. And for that, I appreciate it existing. Just, this is delicious Optimus brood. Just, look at my boy, look at my boy, look at my beautiful angel. Just, he deserves the best. Look at him, look at him. I love him so much.
My wings! Oh, thank the primes.
On paper, an episode focusing on Wreck and Ruin sounds like a disaster. While they're fine characters with plenty of funny moments, I do understand why they're not everybody's cup of tea through how the humor in their scenes work. However, somehow, the crew managed to make Rack and Ruin and Ratchet into the funniest episode of Cyberverse overall. Rack and Ruin never overstayed their welcome, and the dynamic between them and Ratchet is comedy gold due to how Ratchet is just so done with their shenanigans. I laughed so many times throughout, mainly the scene where Jetfire just straight up fucking lost his legs. Just, it's so messed up, but it's so fucking funny at the same time. Just my poor guy. Soundwave and Shadow Striker also get great comedic gems here as they try to figure out what's going on with Megatron and his wacky time-traveling hijinks. Astro Chain's eternal hatred for Dead End is so out of nowhere, yet so funny at the same time because of just how out of nowhere it is. Like, what did Dead End do? What is the backstory? Just, oh my god. The best comedy is when it's left up to the viewer's imaginations over exactly what happened. Man, this episode is one huge laughing riot that never gets tiring anytime I rewatch it.
Most of all, fuck you!
The other candidate that rivals the Alien Hunt episode is this one, where a forgotten friend named Wild Wheel hitched back to Cybertron in order to complete unfinished business with Optimus. Just, the tragedy of this situation makes Wild Wheel a sympathetic character similar to Shadow Striker, and his cowboy-inspired design is cool. In fact, it invites many kind of fridge horror regarding the stasis pods that left the Ark. Like, how many other friends were forgotten on Earth? Like, will they ever wake up? Will Prime send some peeps to come back for them? Like, the more you think about it, the more disturbing that this aspect of the plot becomes. Like, oh my god. Anyways, back to the topic. The atmosphere and flashback is a good shout out to the Western genre. Perceptor being the new owner of McAdams is a neat and wholesome conclusion to his part in the Quintessence arc, and it's a good Optimus Center episode through him trying to help this town out in the desert and trying to make amends to Wild Wheel upon remembering who he is, but it ended up being too late by now. It's a great episode with cool world building and introduces another great one-off character, and it has cows in it. Look at the cows, they're so cute. I'll dance, dance, dance with my hands above my head, like Jesus said. Man, this episode just rocks so much. Similar to Matrix of Leadership, I explored this episode in depth through how it highlights Optimus's main struggle with trying to relax on his time offs and his social anxiety in a compelling way. If you're really curious about my specific thoughts, check out the retrospective in the description below. Other than that, I really enjoyed it for how it shows the main amigos relaxing and vibing in their party. Starscream interfering with it is neat because, come on, Starscream being a gremlin is always a neat treat. The way everybody just straight up try to murder each other is dark, but also really funny at the same time due to how feral they all are. Just, oh my goodness. It all culminates in the greatest scene in the entire show. Optimus dancing. Primes don't dance my ass. Look at my boy go!
You got the touch!
Is it really a surprise when I say the best Cyberverse episode is the last one? I don't even need to say it. This is truly one of the most satisfying endings in a Transformers show. The payoffs to Soundwave's and Shadow Striker's character arcs, the bombastic climax, and finally showing the audience the satisfaction of seeing both sides truly united as one people. After an entire series of hardships and trials, till RR1 have finally come. I don't think that any series finale has ever come close to the frigid brilliance and epic payoffs that is the perfect Decepticon. Cyberverse will always have a special place in my heart as my favorite Transformers show in general. The fact that I still have a lot to think about it even after 2 years of it being off the air is a testament to its excellent writing, its likable cast of characters, its gorgeous animation, and its incredible world building. For that, Cyberverse is the best Transformers show in recent memory, in my honest, humble opinion. I will never get tired of revisiting this underrated gem time and time again for as long as I live. Till all are one, everyone. Also, there may or may not be a character named Tarn that is basically my entire personality and my entire reason for living at this point in my life. A character that is basically the entire reason why y'all turned into my gay-ass shenanigans on Twitter. Anyways, Tarn is a character that exists, I guess. Anyways, here's the TORB's ranking of every single Cyberverse episode. I hope that I explained my reasoning behind the rankings very well, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's always nice to talk about Cyberverse, especially now that I'm seeing so many people express this, like their love for this series as much as I do. You know, it's nice that I don't feel alone in this. How would you rank every episode of this series? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you would like to see more of my content. Be also sure to follow me on other social media in the card link. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you here next time. Bye!